but it is a key skill. So that's just a snapshot example of what it would look like. Well, now we're into Margaret Atwood's work,
Right.
right? We're into The Handmaid's Tale and all these other things. Very interesting,
Right. So,
terrifying.
so that was number four,
It
right?
was number 4. So let's
Right.
go here. Let's take a brief. We're going to take another brief stroll through history, and we want to kind of better understand what post liberals are saying, or post liberalism is saying, about just what they're really saying about kind of like the society we live in. And what would really be created. And you and I, when we talked about preparing for this, we thought no better age to bring up than the Middle Ages in Europe.
Right. Which is
So
counterintuitive. But
right.
so first of all, I want to give a shout out to the Rust Belt Reader,
Oh, thank you.
which I note jumped on a couple weeks ago. Thanks for hanging in so far.
Yeah,
There is a payoff at the end of this quick historical interlude, and then we're going to tie it up.
thanks.
But just to review what we've been doing so far is really putting a spotlight on post liberalism. Oh, they claim liberalism bad is bad, and that they
Yeah,
want so before the modern world, before the Enlightenment, before the Renaissance, be- uh, before liberal democracy, um, there and and the church was an important part of everybody's life,
a huge,
and
in fact, a controlling element
a
in almost
controlling element.
aspect of everybody's life.
It starts with the idea, and of course most as many of you know, the church in the Middle Ages is the Catholic Church today.
Yeah,
They were instructed that they needed the seven sacraments from the church in order to go to heaven and avoid hell.
yeah,
And so every the mindset for most people during the Middle Ages is, how can I get to heaven? Right.
right.
And religion was the most important thing on people's mind.
Yep,
And so that dictated everything. And of course, they were taught that there was a hierarchy and some people were more important than others, and you couldn't move up. And even just wanting to move up, right? I
right.
mean, you alluded to this with the Chinese thing. Just wanting to move up would be against God's will, because
Yep.
God is the one who set up the hierarchy. So,
And
um,
well, justice basically was based on all kinds of arcane explanations for things like throwing the guy into the river, tied and bound up, and if he floats, he's guilty, and if he goes to the bottom, he's apparently he's drowned, but he's suddenly not guilty because he's gone to
Now
heaven.
it should be really important. It's really important for me to make sure that I mention
Yep,
that the Catholic Church has gone through a lot of reforms,
they have,
particularly Vatican II
of course.
in 1962. Right, but during this time, there were all kinds of big problems, and it made people think that we need to change things. And what were they? There was the Hundred Years' War during the
Yep,
1300s, the plague. 20 to 50%
yep.
of the people were killed. There was the failed uh, shoot crusades, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Of
and
course,
and
that whole crusade.
and the
Yeah,
church couldn't do anything about the plague, right? But
right.
they said that they could do things, but they couldn't. And so really, people were tripping, right? They
They
they,
were
they realized that they just it was hard to believe them anymore, and the aristocracy.
right.
So that was the seeds for the Renaissance, which emphasized individualism,
Yep.
living for this life, going back and reading the classics, which was before Rome and
Yeah, yeah.